Hi, we're the Darkness.
Darkness. And you're watching AMBY, which is a music blog, yeah?
Hey folks, it's Alicia from AMBY. I'd like to welcome you to our interview with The Darkness. How are you guys?
Very well, thanks. You?
I'm awesome. I have been listening to your records for about 10 years, so I am pumped to be doing this.
What, solidly?
Yeah.
Wow, quite
Cool.
Since I was 10, so it's like very neat to be doing this at the moment.
Excellent.
That's
So
cool.
what, you're 20 now?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember. Can you remember being 20, Just?
Not really. No.
It was all a bit of a haze then.
When I was 20, I was a total loser. I would never have had the... What's it called? Gumption? Or the get up and gotion to come and do something like this. I was just useless.
Well, you were
turd.
You were living in London though, right? By 20? No, you weren't. It was a bit later than that,
No,
wasn't it?
I might have been...
You in up north of England?
No, I didn't go up there till I was 21.
What were you doing? Sitting around
Nothing.
smoking fags?
Pretty
Cigarettes?
much. Yeah. Useless.
Yes.
No, actually, I was working with Dad
Ah, not so useless.
on a building
Not so
site.
useless.
Yeah, but I was
Pumping iron in
pretty
a
much
way.
lifting up scaffolding, moving it from one end of a field to another, that kind of stuff.
Well, now you're on the Blast of Our Kind tour, and it looks like the reception's been amazing. The fans look insane from all the photos I've seen. And you actually got to meet Buddy Guy recently. What was that like?
That was really, really cool. That was a really, really great night. He was very gracious and gave us a shout out from stage and welcomed us to his club and gave us a pep talk, gave us some advice. It was, yeah, he's a legend.
Well, I'm primarily a blues guitar player. That's how I started in the music trade. So it was a real honour to meet a super legend, and he's just really nice, wasn't he? Really.
Yeah.
And actually, he performed a bit, and it was mesmerising.
Bring him on over.
You haven't. Thank you. I've never seen somebody do so little and command so much attention and just be so. It was mesmerising. It really was. It's a fantastic performer. It's pretty blown away, to be honest.
Other than that experience and that night, have you been enjoying the rest of the show so far? How has everything been treating you?
It's been one of the most fun tours we've ever done. And, you know, you'd expect bands, the default thing was always, oh, this is my favourite city, it's my favourite tour, it's my favourite album.
But
It's
this
the
is
one
actually my favourite city, favourite tour, favourite album.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Actually.
Actually, Toronto's just great, really great. We are in Toronto, right?
Yes. This is Toronto. Well, something great you're doing on
We
this
don't do
tour.
enough stuff in Canada, that's the truth. And I don't know why. I think it used to be, back in the day, I think it was actually a really good country for us. We had gold discs and everything, didn't we?
You know what, the label wouldn't let us tour here because it always tended to be in the winter when we could have toured here, and they always used to say, oh, but it's too difficult to tour Canada in the winter because the roads are all, there's loads of snow everywhere and that. But really, I think it's just that they had an agenda to keep us in other countries, you know.
I mean, I think if you always do Toronto, you occasionally do Vancouver, and you very occasionally end up in the other parts.
Yeah.
Just because of the geography of it, and I do realise that there's lots of
Nooks. and-
worthwhile places to go to, but there's lots of vast distances between them. So it's a bit like Australia in that respect, isn't it? Like Australia, there's nothing in the middle, so you end up having to get planes everywhere, and we don't do that place very often. But strangely, Canada and Australia are two of our strongest markets, really. Never mind.
We appeal to large areas of land with not so many people in them. That large continents, incontinents.
With like spiders and stuff in the middle. I know that's Australia.
They've got some pretty bad spiders here, though, right? Have you got any man-eating spiders in
Not
Canada?
really.
Well, they're
I think
usually in the
you'll be
warmer bits,
okay
aren't they?
here.
Southern states of America have things like the brown recluse.
Yeah, no, they
You know that one?
don't want to go near.
Have you seen a brown recluse bite before?
No.
It's like
From the sounds of it, I don't want to.
well, it's a little brown guy, and he's usually in a cupboard, and he's sort of hiding away. That's why it's called a recluse. And then he bites you, and then it gradually spreads and eats all the flesh away.
Oh, it sounds
So you-
gnarly.
Yeah, you don't want that, really. I mean, yeah, I think in Canada you have bigger animals that might sort of take out an entire vehicle, but less little brown ones that eat your flesh.
I always thought brown recluse was a code name for being constipated.
Well, for this tour, something that you're doing is you're doing a bunch of Q&As before these sessions or the shows, and it seems like fans can pretty much ask whatever they want to ask you guys. How's that been going over? Have you been getting some really wonky questions, or is it all kind of normal at the moment?
It's very normal at the moment. I think our fans are quite excited because Rufus is in the band, so they always ask him about his dad. And that's good. It's sort of, I think a Q&A suits us because it's sort of, if you're doing like a traditional meet and greet, it takes forever, so you end up answering the same question again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gather everyone, it has a sort of a nice sort of, there's a good barrier between you and them for a start, which makes it beautifully awkward. And then you don't get any repetition of questions.
I thought it was
because our time is so valuable.
I thought it was going to be awkward. No, I did, but it's actually worked out really well, hasn't it?
Awkward is good, though. I mean, there's a certain magic to awkwardness, awkwardity.
I have, of course, to bring up the record, Last of Our Kind. I love this album so much. It's just like when I first listened to it, I'm like, this is a darkness record. Like, it just felt so right to me. And I know you released it via PledgeMusic, whether it was giving out signed guitars, and you also did older set lists, which is really neat. So I interviewed Ben, also, who's the owner of PledgeMusic, and I absolutely love what they're all about. So when I came to choosing that's the format and the way you wanted to release the album, reflecting back on it, you feel like that was definitely the way to go, and it turned out how you hoped?
Well, actually, the way Pledge gets the album to the fan before the actual record's release is something that's been going on for quite some time. You know, it's in a way it's kind of like a fan club, isn't it? It gives the fans the opportunity to get in there first, so to speak. So, and it's just a really good way to activate your fan base. You know, rather than just sort of sticking it on sale and saying, look, here, it's over here, you know.
I think it increases the sense of ownership that the fans have in the band, you know, the sort of investment in the band. Almost on an emotional level as well. And I know a lot of people use this pledge thing just to give an unrealistic sort of first week chart position. So they sort of come out the gates really strong, and it makes them seem better, or seem like they're doing better than they really are. And that wasn't how we wanted to use it, really. You can really cane Pledge and do that, so that all these pre-orders that are tied in with fan experiences, and you know what I mean, like all that stuff can count towards your first week of release numbers. But our stuff is much more sort of exclusive-y things, like expensive guitars and things that we've actually used, and experiences that aren't just about the first week of release. We're actually using Pledge to peddle our Q&As.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think if you're the Darkness and you're touring around the world, there's a lot of territories where you can't even break even, you know, unless you're playing much bigger places. And then again, it's the same problem because you've got to take more text to make the show work. And we obviously want to put on a show. We want to have big lights and, you know, want it to look good and sound good. So the Q&As are essential, really. It's what keeps the band on the road, and Pledge is helping us with that. So thanks, Pledge.
I should add that we haven't yet used Pledge in the way that a lot of bands do, in that they basically get the money to record the album from the fans. We haven't got to the point where we've needed to do that yet, and I, for one,
probably would have gone to number one if we had, though.
It may happen at some point in the future. I'm not ruling it out, but at the moment we're able to survive off our own backs. So the Pledge thing is more of a way of giving the fans opportunity to something exclusive, rather than asking them for money to survive. It hasn't got to that point yet.
My favorite aspect of the album has to be how a lot of it is actually about Vikings and sea-based island invasions, and I actually, after reading the lyrics and really taking everything in, it had me Googling about all this history for hours. Like, it was really fascinating.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, so where did your fascination and interest in all of that history begin for yourselves?
For me, it started at high school.
Okay.
Early part of high school. This is the one subject that I was super interested in. Really loved it. Because the first thing we did was a module about ancient medicine, and it was all cauterizations using leeches and maggots, and it was all a bit.
The Egyptians did some good stuff, didn't they, as well, with the trephining. The trephining or trepanning? Releasing pressure from the brain.
I think that is, yeah.
When they drill a hole in the brain to release pressure from the head. is.
Yeah, but so that stuff was fascinating, and then it just grew from there, really. These islandy things on this album, I didn't really know what I was talking about. I was kind of making it up, and it turned out to be true. Same thing happened with Black Shock. I made a lot of that
Really?
up, to be honest. Yeah, but then the thing about Black Shock and most of history is that it's so palpable. That's what makes it the most interesting of the humanities for me, because it's kind of like you can interpret the very scantest information in whichever way you like. And everything I've done so far, I've been quite lucky because there's other people who have sort of shared my analysis or interpretation of what few facts that remain from that period, which is called the Dark Ages because there's not that much in the way of recorded data to analyse, you know. So a lot of it is sort of generations of, you know, word of mouth stuff, and that's the most interesting part for me because, you know, everyone's got a theory about modern history, and there's a lot of, you know, photographic and even filmed evidence of stuff going on. But the more interesting stuff is where you have to interpret it, and that's where making songs up with that is a lot easier, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned how you enjoyed doing or taking history in high school. Was it something that you just had interest in, or was it actually one of your better subjects?
I know I was talented.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was. I remember there was a test that they did that was county-wide, and I achieved a 100% score, and I was the only student to do it. Became something of a celebrity in history circles, at least, you know, for a minute there. And then it went to my head.
And he dropped out.
I did actually, yeah.
We both got A's in history, didn't we? I think a lot of it's to do with your teacher at school.
Yeah.
I think so, like some of the subjects I studied at school, I purposely went out my way to get terrible grades. Like art,
I
hated
can agree with that.
I hated my art teacher so
I
much.
really wanted to get. When you do A levels, which is the one after sort of up to about 18, they force you to do a compulsory GCSE, which is the qualification for people who are up to 16, and it's called General Studies, and it's not a qualification in anything. It's a qualification in common sense,
Yeah.
and I made it my mission to fail that, and I did.
Well done.
I got ungraded in art, which means
Ungraded?
You sat the exam, you gave the piece.
You have to be in a coma to get ungraded. That's quite an achievement.
You have to be appalling to get a U and ungraded,
Yeah.
because it means that they've actually they've looked at the work.
Don't even acknowledge it as art.
They cannot give it a grade. It's so bad, so it's ungraded. That's what I got in art.
Maybe it's just maybe it came around right the way around the other side, and it's fine art.
I like to think that was my artistic statement.
I remember Peter, the elephant.
Less about Peter, the elephant, the better.
It was rubbish.
Well, being that you love history so much, if you could actually go to any era, is there one specifically that you'd like to visit?
The Roaring '20s.
It was
the
fine.
Swinging
Sorry,
'60s.
it was a special. You can edit this in. Yeah, but it was kind of my version of fine art. I call it fart.
Say that for the end of the interview.
That's the end of the interview.
There you go.
We'll see you next time.
I'm out. Sorry, what was the question?
An era, if you could go to one.
The Mauve decade, at the end of the 1800s, which is when they developed the mauve dye. They called it the Mauve decade because it was a period where there was no, you know, it wasn't a war that ravaged the economy. Everyone was sort of slightly affluent, and the middle classes were growing, and everybody was happy. And they invented the mauve dye pigment, and everyone was wearing purple clothes and feeling good about themselves. I think that was probably the best decade in the last 300 years, probably.
I think obviously London in the 60s would have been pretty cool. But saying that, we were in...
I feel like Back to the Future, though. You'll probably bump into Mum.
Oh, God, actually, I don't want to do that.
And then you disappear or something.
Oh, God. But saying that, we were lucky enough to be living in London in the late 90s, very early 2000s. Certainly the late 90s, mid to late 90s, was an amazing time to be in London. It really was. It was kind of like, it had that sort of feeling about it, you know, that apparently.
Nice. Well, just to wrap everything up today, it's been amazing to see how your fan base just has stuck with you through the years, and it's ever growing. Is there anything you'd like to say to all your fans who will be viewing our interview?
Thanks for all of your support and stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful note to end on. I just want to say thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thanks a lot.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Remember, everyone viewing, you can visit us at amusicblog.com for exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more with your favorite bands. See you next time.